First of all, we all agree WOTFI 2025 should not be a part of an arc, or at the very least should not be the end of an arc, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
In 2018, WOTFI 2018, that was a fun twist. 2020, that was perfectly fine too. The team thing, and also it's only second time.
Yeah.
2021 was it shouldn't have been a WOTFI, but in its defense, even though it it didn't fit with the tone of the Genesis arc, and it sort of broke the pace. The Genesis arc was just so good, and like the arc stuff in that WOTFI was just so good, it just made up for that. 2022 was when it's like 2022 was when it became. Like 2022 was when it became like just like why are you doing this? Like there's no reason to do this. Why have you done this? And then 2023 fixed it. It's like I thought they finally addressed the issue. It did not. It was 2023 wasn't really part of an arc. It was like sure it was part of a somewhat ongoing story. It was not only not part of a very the story it was a part of was not only like very lighthearted and barely a story arc, but also like it was sort of in a way sort of a part of a larger thing, like a larger saga. It was just, it worked out, and not only that, but WOTFI 2023 was like the way they did it, the new format they did for that, which they abandoned in 2024, like. Because that format wasn't challenges, a bunch of random challenges. It was like they wrote a narrative, they wrote the plot, and then they had the fans choose what decisions were made at certain points in the plot. It meant WOTFI 2023 actually felt like a movie, unlike or every other WOTFI feels like a WOTFI. But that 2023 felt like a proper narrative that felt exactly this. It fit alongside Western Spaghetti, and it's got to be perfect, even though it was lighter in tone, because it was just written more similarly, because it was it wasn't just they wrote the beginning, then they had a bunch of random challenges that were unrelated, and then they had the ending. Like it felt like one coherent story, which they abandoned with 2024 for some reason. That was a massive mistake. So for 2025, if you must have it be part of an arc, please bring. If you're not going to bring back the format from WOTFI 2023, make a new format that allows you to write a proper story creative. And don't do challenges again.
I think
because WOTFI 20
happen is that I think how it should happen is that the way that WOTFI works is that I think there should be like an episode before it that gives context and gives a reason for the WOTFI to exist. Just so give it a reason, a singular episode that's connected to the WOTFI, and just sort of like that, just reason for why the WOTFI should exist in the first place. Just put it out there. Not a full-blown arc.
I think like the one thing I will give WOTFI 2024, because I will say I did enjoy it. I'm not going to say it's the best one because it's far from it.
In its defense, all the WOTFIs are enjoyable. The lawsuit arc, for its problems, is enjoyable. It's just not written well.
Exactly.
The problem with WOTFI 2024 is it's the most WOTFI of all time. It is the most WOTFI of all time. There's no better way to describe it. It's the most generic, predictable, like... It's
exactly. That was my critique.
It's 2022 to the extreme.
I could have been able to predict everything that was gonna happen. That being said, I will say that the way that they did the challenges this time, because it was more of a carnival, I thought that was kind of cool. It was better than like something like all of WOTFI 2022, where it felt like it actually like helped the overall narrative, because like they're in a theme park, so it kind of worked. But
I'll have to come to the lawsuit arc's defense here. At least the lawsuit arc was just a generic WOTFI. WOTFI 2024 is like a weird amalgamation of WOTFI 2018 and WOTFI 2021 with the ending. It's so like that's why I say it's the WOTFI of all time. Because the problem is it comes after the lawsuit arc. And so at least WOTFI 2022 has the one thing over 2024 being it was before 2024, and so like 2024 is even worse because it's because it comes after.
That's a huge the music is the leggy like death scene, like with quotations, that completely copied Axel and Melanie's from 2021.
Yes.
That was a complete ripoff.
Yes.
And I really didn't like it because, like, don't get me wrong, it was still sweet, but I'm just like, it's not as impactful because Axel was an actual main cast character that people like. Like, one of my favorite SMG4 movies is the Meggy movie, and like Axel like was really well written, like with that, as well as Meggy. Like, I think that was peak writing back then. 2019 to 2020 was my favorite.
Like,
in terms
she
of
beginning the Meggy movie exists.
Yeah.
Like, the Meggy movie, like, whenever I think of it, oh, it's like actual peak.
Yeah, right. But like, I loved
like,
how amazing and well written it was, and like, honestly, it's still one of my favorite episodes or just like overall videos that SMG4 has done. Period. But like, one thing I didn't like is like on how much, like, if I watched the Meggy movie nowadays and then I watched like WOTFI 2024, I would have been like, I was like, oh, okay, because like it seems like it, like, in terms of animation it's gone a lot better, but in terms of writing it's gone like a lot worse. Because in the Meggy movie it was 45 minutes, but the 45 minutes I was still able to spend time with every character. Even Desti, who was dead, I still felt like she was written well. Either the few scenes that she was in, it still felt like Desti. It still felt like that it was a good ending to a good character. With this, it just felt like challenges, problem, and then boom, all of a sudden ending and Mr. Puzzle's in jail. Like, it just, that's how WOTFI went for me, and it just, I like a progression in the story, like in Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And with that, it just felt like Act 1 and Act 2 were the same thing. Like that, but that was just me.
Yeah, I think with like,
oh wait, you go.
Yeah, I think for like WOTFI, honestly, for me, for my genuine reaction, I didn't find WOTFI as bad. There's just something that hit me with WOTFI that I'm not sure what it. It's hard for me to explain, but I think like one, like the score at the beginning of the WOTFI got me pretty hyped for it, like the orchestral version of the Puzzle Vision jingle. That got me quite. That hit me in the nerve a lot, and I think that was really cool. I hope they do that more with opening scores and that, because that was like just brilliant music. I don't want it to change. It's always good with music. That's one big redeeming part of WOTFI, and I can't explain it. There is something I like about WOTFI 2024 that I think is like just something on a personal kind of thing. But then again, I do understand everything with like just sort of like the whole leggy thing just felt just off in that, and how it just ended abruptly in that. I didn't mind it as much, honestly. I didn't mind everything as much, but everything just like came out really suddenly, and that it's just like. And actually, another thing is that I think the way they marketed WOTFI 2024 was so weird. There was like these posters and images of like, you remember the Freak Show poster? Remember that shit? It's like, what happened with that?
Yeah.
What happened with that? None of that got mentioned in the actual fucking thing.
The trailer suggested that the other characters would be like, I don't know, like, it's so boring how in the WOTFI they're just mind controlled. Like the trailer suggested that they would be like forced into the challenges too, so it's just a bit odd.
Yeah, it felt like everyone was actually gonna have a role, and I was so hyped for that. And
then they didn't.
Yeah.
To
like,
where
at least market what's gonna happen in the movie. Like, I get it. You can make a few things up, or like you could cut a few things, because that happens. Like there is the chance. The movie, I released the movie trailer like all the way back before I released my movie, and there was a whole scene with like airships, because it was gonna be like an airship battle. I ended up cutting that from the overall movie just because I thought it would be better without it.
Yeah,
like,
I think because it's like
things like that happen. But like, if you're going to make the whole point of the trailer like every character like looking like they're like on edge, like they're like being threatened, and then you cut that from the WOTFI, that's kind of the whole point of your trailer. Like, at least show other things.